Welcome to another episode of the Superbold Podcast. I'm Fred Joyle, and today I have somebody that is bold enough for both of us. He has no use for my book whatsoever, and we're going to find out how he got this way. His name's Markus Kaulius, which sounds like a Roman gladiator, but it's actually a best-selling author and business advisor. He's founded multiple 8- and 9-figure businesses over his 25-year career. He started a supplement business that reached 170 million, helped people lose 3 million pounds, and has impacted the lives of over 10 million people. But he's just warming up because now he has a book called Play a Bigger Game: 7 Universal Principles to Experience Real Fulfillment and Win at Life. It was one of the top 10 selling books in America within 3 weeks of hitting the book stands. As a thought leader, he has advised multiple 8- and 9-figure companies on their growth strategy, and he is also in the Guinness Book of World Records for speaking at a conference and broke the attendance record. His next thing will probably be to break the internet like Taylor Swift, but we'll see how he's going to pull that off. And so I am so excited to have this conversation. Marcus's energy is double mine, and most people think I have too much. So away we go. Markus, welcome to the show.
Fred, what an introduction. Wow. I feel pretty good about myself right about now.
You should, really should.
I am psyched to be here, brother. I have no doubt this is going to be a great conversation. But most importantly, I really want to hear that people walked away with actionable steps. What can they do today to start changing their lives?
And that's what I want too. I want to end this conversation with my mindset on how to play a bigger game, because it's what many of us strive for. And even if you're not striving for it, maybe we're going to help you convince you that you probably should be.
I love it.
So, but let's get, I love to talk about boldness and how that emerged in people. And some people are naturally that way. It didn't get programmed out of them. But you're a bold individual in that you're big and energetic, but you chase big stuff. You walk the high wire without a net on a regular basis here. And so how did you get that way? Do you have any idea?
Oh, I love this question. And I love that we're starting here, because I want to tell everybody, this is not who I was in my first 15 years. I lived the other way, and I felt so stuck and empty, and I knew there had to be more for me. And I'm really hoping people are hearing these words and going, this guy's speaking my language. And I had no confidence. I had no self-worth. I couldn't get girls to look at me if I set myself on fire. There was so much sadness in me, but I knew that there had to be more. And I know there's so many people, and I know you've got a bold audience, so I love that. They're already way further ahead than I was when I was for my first 15 years. But the key thing that I learned is that it can be learned. All of it. Confidence, boldness, taking some good educated risk. It can all be learned. And I think it all starts with, do you want to learn it? Do you have a why inside of you? And I love Simon Sinek. I love talking about people's why, because if you don't have a good enough why, a strong enough why, and you haven't really solidified it, wrote it down, thought about it, thinking about it 24/7, there's too many storms in our lives that are going to knock us off our path and get us back on the couch, get us feeling complacent and comfortable. We need to have that why. So it's like, no matter what comes at me, I am going to keep moving forward. And so for me, in those first 15 years, I had no why. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know the purpose of it all. And my why came really clear as soon as I made this one choice that changed everything for me. And then my why for the rest of my life will be, I need to teach people that they are so much closer than they realize from having the life that they always dreamed.
Yes, and I drive this point home in all of my lectures and in my book is that boldness is a life skill. It is
Yes.
not a personality trait. It just looks like one.
Yes.
And the people who weren't that way, you and I, can teach it. Somebody who's just, their parents just let them be bold and just never suppressed it, and nobody ever hurt their feelings or made fun of them or anything. And what happens, and I think you discovered it as well, but I want to hear what you say, is once you start being bolder, you get rewarded for it in
Oh, yeah.
unexpected ways, and you
Oh, I love
start to just trust it.
Yes.
And when and my goal is to help people to make it their default mode so that they're bold when it really, really matters. Because you can't just say, oh, well, if it's really important, I'll step up. No, what you're going to do is step off, step back, hesitate, clam up, get tongue tied. And I'm trying to cure that for people because we need bold people to solve big problems. And I think that's what, playing a bigger game is all about. It's like, kill a bigger bear, go after something huge because the clock is running, man.
Oh, Fred, I love this. And listen, you and I have such the same beliefs. So I love this conversation. I love talking about the big players in life. Let's talk about Elon Musk for a second. And I truly believe there are tons of people who have a big, bold life in front of them that they're not stepping into. So imagine Elon Musk going, I don't know. I mean, to create my own car, that sounds like so much work. And I've already heard so many no's. And by the way, if you guys don't know Elon's story, do you know how many no's he got? Like, he got the strongest no's you could possibly get. When you're trying to build a car company and all the other big car companies get together and go, we're shutting you down. You aren't going to be able to build anywhere. We're telling everyone not to deal with you. That's a pretty big no. I think that's pretty easy to walk away and go, the whole car thing, I'm going to try something else that's a little less offended by me. No, he stepped up all the way. Now, we don't all have to become the next Elon Musk. But one of the points that I think Fred is making is everybody has this big role to play in this world. And we were only gifted with one of you. I don't know exactly what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to be in your best version. But man, I would love to even have 1% help in releasing that best version so that the world could be blessed with the best version of you.
And one of the things that I try to emphasize is that by keeping this inside, by not revealing your full self, you're depriving people of that.
Yes.
Because you're worried about being rejected or not accepted or not everybody's going to love you. Guess what? Not everybody's going to love you. That's kind of impossible. But we worry so much about what other people think.
Yeah.
And I think you found this way by your why to stop worrying about what most people thought. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You're spot on. And I really do believe there's going to be a bunch of people that don't like you one way or another. If you're acting as yourself or acting as somebody else, which unfortunately most of us take that road. I'll give you the watered down version of myself. And I believe I know the reason why. When we become our authentic selves, we're opening our kimono to the world and going, here I am. And that's a scary thought, because if you reject me now, well, you're rejecting the real me. But if I give you like this watered down version and, oh, Fred didn't like me too much, it's like, well, he doesn't really know me anyway. I love the way you speak about boldness, Fred. And I'm just going, yes, what if Fred and I are right? What if? Try it for one day to be your bold self, your confident self, your whatever self is authentic to you, and watch for the gains, because that's truly what it is. You will be rewarded more quickly than you realize. Will there still be negatives? Of course, but there's negatives already no matter what. But watch for more of the positives. And Fred nailed it right away. I tried it and the rewards were so massive. I immediately was like, oh, I'm never going back to the old way. I've had enough of the lack of rewards and all the sadness and pain, and you fill in the blank. Now I'm going for all rewards, and let's see how far this thing can go.
And that's an important step, is don't suppress and ignore and try not to think about those opportunities that you missed and those regrets that you stacked up. Yeah. Look at them. Take a hard look at them. Make them irritate you, frustrate you, yes. anger you. Yes. So you say, I got to get out of this. And and what a lot of people don't realize is that we relentlessly pursue comfort in this world right now, and especially in this country. And I just say, no, comfort is the rest stop. It's the gas station where you go fill up so you can go back out and chase your dreams, which is going to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's just like working out. My main premise is boldness builds just like a muscle. You got to work it. You got to be uncomfortable so you get stronger. So when it comes down to the heavy lifting, you speak right up. You see that person you want to meet, you walk right over to him and start talking to him. And how are you doing that? The first step is get angry, realize you're running out the clock and you've benched yourself and you don't know how long the game's running. Do you want to be on the bench the whole time?
So good, brother. So good. You and I definitely speak the same language. I love this. And for any parents listening, if you're struggling to back this up with some strong why, I hear you guys, I maybe believe it a little bit, but I'm not sure even where to start. I'd love to encourage you to think about what you're showing to your children every day. And this is such a horrifying thing we're seeing all around us. As parents, we naturally tell our kids, oh, you can do whatever you want. I want you to reach for the stars. But they're looking at us. And let's be honest. Are they going, oh yeah, my mom and dad reach for the stars every day or ever? And if that's the example that you're showing them, why would you ever think your kids are going to do anything with their lives other than the example that you've shown them, which is hey, get a job, get comfortable, get on the couch, get Netflix, end of story. I'm good. And for the next 70 years until they bury me. Terrible. So use that as, you know what? I'm going to show them a better example starting today. And communicate with them. Say to them, hey, because this is about accountability right here. To say to your kids, you know what? I haven't been showing you enough. I've wanted to do such and such for the last few years. Starting today, I am on the path to do that. Be bold. Do something about it and talk to your children. Let them watch you. And when you're being watched by those kids, you're going, oh, I got to put in extra effort. I better get the right sleep. I better get the right exercise. I better eat the right foods so that I can show up tomorrow as my best self and get going on this road that I told my kids I would be on.
Absolutely. And parenting is such a big issue because so many parents are trying to protect their children from any sort of hurt and discomfort. Guess what? The world is going to hurt you. Yes. And if you're playing it safe in your life, that's the model that they're going to work from. You can say, oh, you got to take chances. It's like, Dad, when's the last chance you took? Asking mom to marry you? I think she asked you. So that's the story I heard. And I had a dad who, he was a mail carrier. And once he got that job, that was it for him. He needed the safety and security of that. But he grew up in the Depression. I mean, he was milking cows before he went to high school every morning to help pay for the household expenses. So he just wanted security. We don't need that. There's nothing but opportunity in this world, but you still got to step up. You still got to take the risk. And a lot of people go, yeah, but I want to figure out the safest way to do it. No, the inherent concept of taking risk is that it could go wrong. It could go badly. Bold people do stuff all the time that doesn't go right. And they just go, oh, there's a lesson in that. They didn't understand me at all. They didn't appreciate me doing that at all. But what the thing that happens, and it's part of it, is the transition that to me is a life transformation, when trying and failing actually feels better than not trying.
So good.
Because it's so easy to go, oh, well, I don't want to, I'm worried about trying that because it could go wrong. Well, guess what? It's going as bad as it could possibly go because you're not doing it.
Yes.
You're guaranteeing that it's not going to go by not stepping up and taking a shot.
Oh, that is so good, brother. And I so agree with you. I kind of see life and taking the shot as, it reminds me of being a kid and we're learning baseball. And all right, who's up? And Marcus grabs the bat and I swing and oh no, it's a mess. Who's up next? And everyone else is going, I don't want to take a shot. All right, Marcus, you want to take another swing? Oh, okay. Let's swing again. Oh, I almost hit that one. Swing again. Oh, I nicked that one. And eventually, if you keep swinging, guess what? You're going to connect. And what Fred's talking about, once you get over this little hump, this little weird psychological stuff that this world has put us into and put us in this trance of just don't take any risks, don't be bold, don't risk anything. It's fun to take these risks. I love when I come up against a challenge that I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to handle this challenge. That's awesome. That's when we grow. When have you ever grown on the couch? It does not work that way. So you have to take some action. You have to come up against some challenges. And if you are one of those parents who are still protecting their kids from all the negative stuff of this world, no risk, no nothing, how has that worked out for everybody the last 10 years, the last 20 years? We're seeing the product. Those kids are so fragile. They're probably still living with you. And I mean that so mercifully. But people...
And they need a service dog to go to the drugstore or the supermarket.
Yes.
And how about something really risky, like asking for a promotion, quitting a job that is not taking you where you want to go, starting a business. Yes. The odds are against you starting a business, but people do it all the time and succeed. But usually they fail a couple of times, learn from it, and then when the really important business comes along, they've succeeded. They're ready to succeed because they said, I've done this. I've raised too much money and blown it, and I hired all my friends, and they didn't like working for me. They just like being with me, and so you fix those things by learning, and by just like you learn to walk by falling. You learn to ski and snowboard by falling. Until you stopped falling, until your body said, I know how to be upright. And it's the same thing. You learn to be bold by being uncomfortable and saying the wrong thing and walking up to the person and bumbling it completely and saying, wow, they were not interested in talking to me. But you say, what do I got? I got to be more interesting. I got to be more interested in them. And so I just recommend people, like, you need to be doing boldness exercises when the stakes are low, when it doesn't matter. Talk to everybody in Starbucks. 3 of them will think you're crazy. 4 of them will find you interesting. And 2 of them won't respond. And guess what? None of it matters because you were just going in for coffee. But what happens is you'll talk to, like, I'll do this. I do the Starbucks thing. It's like I compliment somebody always.
I love it.
And it's my favorite one was a woman. She was wearing all yellow. And in my brain, and this is the other challenge I have for myself, is if I have a judgment about them, a negative judgment, I forced myself to give him a compliment about that.
Nice.
Like
Really
that
good.
tattoo on your forehead. I love that message. I got to force myself to come up with something. But I said to this woman, I went, wow, that yellow is really working for you. That yellow dress, you're brightening my day with that.
I
And
love
she
that.
just said, thank you so much, because I was feeling so low today. I was so down that I thought I'm just going to put this dress on and just try to enliven myself a little bit. And thank you so much. And all I did was I elevated her to where she was trying to get herself.
Mm.
What a great thing. I didn't need anything else from her. She
No.
didn't need anything from me, but I got to do that. I got to do those drive-by compliments, which, hey, why not make somebody feel better about themselves? So easy to criticize, right? The
Yes.
critic is the person who's afraid to try anything. So they just want to criticize. And bold people just ignore them. And that's the power of it, is like, yeah, have your criticism. I don't really have time to listen.
So good. So good. You know, Fred, I think there's something we're kind of dancing around. So I want to jump into it if it's okay. When we are this kind of bold and this kind of encourager and this kind of confidence is now growing in us, I want to tell everybody you put out a very different energy. And this is not supposed to be some foo-foo like, oh, and the energy crystals and stuff. And I'm not even judging the people who believe in that stuff. But you have to understand you put out an energy. And if you are this kind of person, you know what kind of energy you're putting out. And if you're this kind of person, you know you're putting out a very different energy. And you draw people to you with that good energy. And you draw success to you with that good energy. And I've got this fun, weird little story that I haven't shared. But a couple weeks ago, I was on a cruise with my family. And I remember from years ago, playing bingo on a cruise was the coolest thing. So I'm like, we have to play bingo. We're playing bingo. I showed up like with loads of energy. I'm high-fiving the people selling the cards. I'm already high-fiving some of the people who are playing with us way before we start. And I had just this 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10 energy. And I knew with certainty I was going to win. It was a foregone conclusion. And my family said the same thing. They're like, you're going to win tonight, aren't you? Like, they felt it. There was only 3 games. The first 2 games went by and didn't win. And I'm like, I know. I'm still. The final game was the big grand prize. Final number, boom, I get called. I go berserk. My family's killing themselves laughing because I went around and I high-fived every single person in the auditorium. People were reaching over seats. Me, hit me. And it made me sit back and go, there was no question I was going to win because I was putting out this win energy. Now, it won't work every time. I won't necessarily win. But man, if you win 1 out of every 10 times, isn't that worth it? Isn't that worth trying? But more importantly, even if I didn't win, I was ready to go high five whoever won. I was in such a great space and I was bringing it and I was changing the mood of the whole auditorium. Wouldn't that be nice to be able to say on a regular basis? To say, I changed the energy of a whole, and I know people had a spectacular night because of that. I know it because they kept coming up to me later on the cruise going, that was a night. That was a special night.
And when you're listening to this, you don't want to be, we don't want you to think, oh, you have to be like this life of the party and high energy person. We want you to chase your dreams.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to just be the best mom ever, which means you're a great cook. But what is it? You're also a tough lover. You bite the bullet. And I use my mom as an example because my older brother was in the last polio epidemic. At 8 months old, he got polio.
Oh.
And my mother did everything possible to not treat him like he was handicapped. We didn't even use the word in the house. I was like 15 and somebody said, your brother's handicapped. And I went, oh yeah, I guess he is. But she let him play outside. all the time. And he came in bleeding almost every day. And she got to the point where she wouldn't even get him stitches. She'd just tape him up because he wanted to go back outside. I mean, he was an auto mechanic. He did like incredible. He rode a motorcycle. I don't even understand how he could ride a motorcycle, but she just bit the bullet over and over again instead of trying to protect him. And I mean, she could have just kept him in the house to be safe. I don't know where she got that fortitude because it happened when she was in her 20s, but she found it. And of course, she was so bold, it made me an introvert because she was always, because that's the whole thing is you don't want to overdose yourself as you try to be bold. Don't try to be Marcus tomorrow. Okay. You got to work your way up to it. And that's all. And everybody's dosage is different, but you want to strain yourself just like you're building a muscle. If you're uncomfortable, great. You don't want to be so uncomfortable you go back into your shell forever. But you got to stretch yourself because at some point there's going to be a moment where you need to speak up because somebody's telling a joke that they shouldn't be telling, or somebody's being a bully, or that person you want to work for is looking for the right person, and you need to say, I'm the one who can do this. And these windows of opportunity don't stay open indefinitely. That's why hesitation is eating your dreams, because you think you got more time to get to stuff. And what most, I say, when I ask people, what's carpe diem? They go, oh, seize the day. And I say, you know what the problem with that is? Most of the time you don't have all day. You got to seize the moment. Sometimes it's 30 seconds. Sometimes it's 5 seconds. Sometimes it's 2 minutes, but most of the time it's not all day.
Fred, so good. I want to highlight something that you just talked about, that jumping from zero to hero overnight. And this is where I see a lot of people falling and failing. And I don't want to see that for anybody who is ready to take a step. I love to call this concept baby steps. And for anybody who's not exactly sure what I'm talking about yet, think about the last time you tried a diet and failed. And we have all done it many times. And what did we do? We went, okay, I'm going to change everything right now. So I'm going to go from all the sugar to zero sugar. I'm going to go from no workouts to 7 workouts per week, 2 hours per day. Amazing. I love the idea. How long did it last? And just so you know, I've been in the fitness industry for over 25 years. I can't honestly say I've ever heard that plan work. And I've heard it a million times. Tells you the percentage of success is pretty low. Baby steps looks like this. All right, I'm going to change everything. I know I'm super motivated and excited, but I have to stay calm because I want this thing to last. And I'm going to be consistent with it. And this is a 1-year plan, not a 1-week plan. And so instead of going from all the sugar to zero sugar, you know what? 2 days a week, I'm going to go zero sugar. Or 2 days a week, I'm going to take out all the fast food that I was eating. And instead of going to 7 days a week working out, I'm going to go 3 workouts this week, and they're going to be 45 minutes only. I got to get my body primed for this. These are the baby steps. And you go, this is not so bad. This is not a crazy, wild, life-changing thing. And then you step it up just a little bit more. A little less fast food, a little more workout. A little less fast food, a little more workout. And all of a sudden in a month and a half, you start going, I'm starting to look pretty good. I'm feeling way better about myself. And I didn't have to make these crazy radical changes that hurt all over. And my brain was going, go back to what we know, go back to what we know. So included in that is your steps toward being a more bold or confident or whatever kind of person. What would baby steps look like? What would small incremental steps look like where you go, yeah, I could do that. I could do that long term. And if you need somebody in your corner, you got Fred and I cheering you on. There's lots of people who do this for a living who want to be on your team, who want to hold you accountable to help you get the best results you can possibly get.
And try to get to it as often as possible, but it's that small thing, and it's what's your step. If you want to meet people, and if you want, if we're the average of the 5 people we hang out with most, how do we upgrade those people? It's not going to be in our house. It's like we gotta move out a little bit. So your ability to meet anybody you want in life is a transformation in terms of moving up and up in your success and fulfillment. But how do you do it? Well, I'm uncomfortable talking to strangers. Okay, so just smile at strangers. You don't have to talk yet. Smile at 3 people a day. If 3 is too many, smile at 1. Next month, smile at 3. The month after that, say hi. And you know what happens? Some people won't smile back. Some people won't say hi. And you eventually don't care. You go, you don't know the headspace they're in that they didn't smile back, and you stop taking it on. Rejection is actually a choice to experience. Embarrassment is a choice to experience. I'm sure people look at you running around high-fiving people in the bingo room going, he should be embarrassed at the way he's behaving.
Yep.
No, you're embarrassed for him and he's not embarrassed.
Nope.
Because it makes you uncomfortable to see him do it. And it's because you'd want to be that. You would want to be comfortable doing that. So you got to start. You got to increase your dosage. You got to titrate to tolerance, as they say in the medical world.
So good. Fred, this is so good. Hey, this is going to be a bit more of an advanced principle. And I know, Fred, you're on board for this. I'm sure you use this exact language because it's exactly what you were just saying now. And I hope for everybody listening, this makes you think about things a little differently. We're going to talk about expectations and standards. And one of the reasons we get so discouraged when we don't get the results we wanted, because we have too high of expectations. So for me, I like to have really high standards. And what that means is, for my life, I'm going to judge myself by holding these standards. And I can expect all day long that I'm going to hit these standards. And if I don't, I can talk to myself about, hey, we have higher standards than that. No matter how high your standards, you can't always dictate how people are going to react. You don't know the outcomes. I'll tell you, the higher the standards you have better predictability about what's going to happen, but you still can't have these perfect expectations. Now, for those of you who are like, I'm not exactly getting this point, let's talk about driving, because this is where it really opened up my eyes. How many people out there have been driving, someone cuts you off even a little bit or does something you disagree with, and you lose your crap? How dare you? How dare you cut me off? What are you thinking? Who gave you a license to drive? What I learned to do is calm myself down and say, one, have I ever done that? Have I ever been that other person? Because come on, if you think you've never cut anybody off, you've never been a rude driver, oh man, I call BS on you. I'm so sorry. I don't know who you are, but I'm calling BS. So one is to go, okay, I've done that myself. Number two is, where were my expectations? Was I expecting to drive among other perfect drivers? And by the way, that perfect is such a subjective word. My version of perfect, as in, if you see my car on the road, you be very kind around me. Like, that's crazy talk. And so, one, I can't have those kind of expectations. I can have my own standards. Hey, I don't cut people off. I don't drive recklessly. And I can expect certain results for myself, but I can't expect other drivers to adhere to these same standards. I don't know what's going on in their life. Just like what Fred said, I don't know if somebody's racing to the hospital because someone they love just got hit by a car. Wouldn't that excuse them? Wouldn't that make you calm down a bit and go, oh my goodness, please go faster, go. There's always a reason. But if your expectations are way too high, you're not even going to see those reasons. So my encouragement to you today, try this one thing. If you get upset or frustrated or in some situation, your blood starts to boil, just ask yourself, what were your expectations? Was I expecting everything to go perfectly today? And if the answer is yes, which I have yet to see a situation where the answer wasn't yes. You can calm yourself down by saying, okay, what should I have expected? And you all of a sudden accept the fact that not everybody's living this life that you've chosen to live or holding standards that you've chosen to hold. And it just calms you down. And ultimately what this is going to come down to is what's in your control and what's not. And focus on what you can control and then just see what happens with everything else.
And I love that. I think I suffer from high expectations for myself and everything I undertake. I think everything's going to happen faster and everything's going to go perfectly because I'm putting my energy into it. So yeah. I'm going to be applying this myself because I think I do that. But one of the things that I use is this question: what if I'm wrong? This guy's a jerk for cutting me off. What if I'm wrong? What if he's so late for work that if he's late one more time, he's going to lose his job? He's cutting me off because he's going to lose his job. What if it's that? And it's the same thing about like, oh, when somebody says, I'm not a good dancer, I'm not a good singer, people don't like me. They have a litany of things that self-define, that encase them, that entrap them. It's like, oh, they're all going to laugh at me. Whenever somebody says that, I just say, all of them? And so you're worried about what strangers think because they're mostly strangers. Oh, yeah, it's going to be embarrassing. Well, or not, depending on how you look at it. Like, you probably have trouble feeling embarrassment at this point because you're like, I don't really need to put energy into that because it doesn't matter how wrong it looks like it went. If you walked on stage with your fly down, you'd work it. You'd like, that would be like gold to you. It's like, I can't believe I left my fly down. I'm gonna get the house on fire. I'm gonna make everybody stand up and unzip themselves or whatever. You're gonna just do something nutty. And what happens when you refuse to acknowledge embarrassment as embarrassment or rejection as rejection, people admire you for that. They're awed by that. And that's kind of what we're talking about when you create this energy of like, I expect things to go well. I expect to have fun. I expect to get really far in my dreams. That becomes charisma, because that's the subtitle of my book is you want to become charismatic. All that means is people are drawn to you because of your positivity and your relentless pursuit of your dreams. If your dreams are just fun in the moment, or it's a kick-ass business that I'm going to start, or I'm going to show my kids the best camping vacation they ever had because I've decided to be super dad. And, we may get lost, but we'll find our way back. Most of us, the dumb kid's not coming back, but that's why you have a lot of kids, it's important.
Oh, Fred, this was so good. That was so good, brother. And by the way, you're totally right. I don't remember what embarrassment feels like. It's literally been 20 years. And I've had situations where I'm sure many people will be watching and go, what? That had to have been embarrassing. No, because I own it no matter what. And you're so right. Any situation that could look like an embarrassment, I just own it. And there's always people who are seeing it going, how did you turn that into something that was like a good thing? I would have been so embarrassed. And it's like, yeah, but you can choose. You can choose to be embarrassed, or you can choose to be like, oh, that's hilarious. I love having a good story to tell. So when something weird happens, something crappy happens, something embarrassing happens, it's a great story to tell always if you own it. Of course, it's not a story you want to tell if it's like, oh, my fly was undone and I couldn't stop thinking about it and then I blew every joke. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and keep this fly undone because obviously I'm not supposed to have my fly up tonight, everybody. And good luck paying attention up here.
Right. Yeah. Your challenge is to not be distracted. So, and to see if I'm commando or not. You're just going to be wondering the whole time. But I just want people to realize that life is just too short to let other people decide what you're capable of.
Yeah.
And it's too short to think you're going to get to your dreams tomorrow or the next day or when you have more time or when you're more financially secure and you're not so busy. Because you know what happens? You get to the finish line and the people on their deathbed, the thing they say the most is, I wish I lived a life not designed by other people. And I don't regret any of the things I screwed up. I regret the things I didn't do, the things I didn't say, the things I didn't try.
So true.
And
Man,
I don't want that for people. I grieve when people feel like they're like, do you really want it on your, I picture this on their tombstone. I played it safe my whole life and I died anyway. And that's why do that.
So many exciting opportunities, everybody. Start taking them today.
Yeah, and it's easy to be scared. I'm scared. I deliberately put myself in situations where I go like, wow, my pits are soaked right now because I'm suddenly I don't have a fallback position on this one. I've put myself out there. And sometimes it goes right. Sometimes it's a lesson in how to make it go right the next time. But I've met amazing people. I've done amazing stuff, and I've missed amazing opportunities because I hesitated, and I've missed fun because I said, "Oh, that's not really me." Trapped in a self-definition is a real prison. It's choosing hell.
Yes.
So.
Well, let's give them that little piece of advice for today. And there's a beautiful challenge. For the next 24 hours, watch the words that you use. Watch how you identify yourself. Our words are so powerful and our brain is listening always. So you say, oh, I can't do that. I'm not a good dancer. It's going to remind you, oh yeah, remember all the terrible times you were dancing and it was so embarrassing? And then you don't dance. But if you go, you know what? I love to dance. Like, I'm not a good dancer, but I'm going to dance anyway. And you know what? People are probably going to laugh. That's a good thing. I'm bringing joy to their life. So we're going to watch those words that we use. And when we say things like, oh, I hate this and I hate that, you're releasing such terrible things into your body, into your brain. So start watching these words and start looking for the more positive stuff. And this isn't just silver lining stuff, everyone. This is legit science. This is how our brains work. So look for the positive, use the positive wording, use positive sentences, talk about yourself in the positive, and watch how quickly you start to notice better things happen in your life.
It changes your body chemistry.
Yes.
That's been proven that if you put that negativity out there, the cortisol is going to increase in your body. And actually your cognitive skills are going to go down and your creative skills are going to go down. It's all been demonstrated. So you're doing it to yourself because that's either what you've been taught or makes you feel safe or secure or less unworthy or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to, I love that. Just that exercise is every time you're about to say, I hate, say, do I really hate it? Good. I mean, there's a few things to hate. There's like you can hate Nazis, okay? You can, but the list is fairly short. I hate traffic. No, you don't like traffic. Just soften it a little bit. Or traffic bothers me sometimes. But I hate onions. Like nobody's forcing you to eat onions, okay? So you don't have to bring all that emotion to onions. But anyway, it's so important. because we barely got into Play a Bigger Game, which is your fabulous book. And because I want people to read it, I want you to go get it, because the title tells you what you should be going for, what you should want out of life and to know that it's right there. And I think you said it at the very beginning, Marcus, it's way closer than you think.
Yes. So good. And listen, let's clarify something, Fred. I love the way you're introducing it, the way you're talking about it. This is not playing a bigger game at what I think is the level that you should be playing at. It's an invitation for you to play a bigger game in your life. And what's really cool about this book, it gives you all of the mindset tips, challenges, examples that I've used for the last 25 years to radically change my life and to experience success I could never have dreamed of. But then it gives you really simple challenges, because you have to put the book down and you have to take the challenges. If you don't take action on this stuff, nothing will change. We got to stop consuming. We're such a consumeristic society. We consume, and we wonder why nothing changes. So these challenges are designed for you to put the book down, take some action, and you will start seeing a change. And one of the other points that Fred brought up that I absolutely love, you're not going to change your life in the next 30 days. Your business is not going to go boom in the next 30 days. Does it happen? Sure, it's very rare. But one of the greatest things we can do for you is to help you see, as soon as you start walking on this path where you take more control, you're actually doing something to better your life and the life of the people around you. That is the real joy and the real gain. So you can say tomorrow, you know what? I actually put in real work. I feel really good about myself. That is the biggest reward. And you can get that every single day. And I'm telling you, it feels so good. That actually feels better to me than some of the big rewards that I've received in my life. Because when you're going, oh my goodness, if I sold my business, if I started this business, if I got this many sales, sure, it's cool, but it is so fleeting. If you put in the work to better yourself, you listen to the podcast, you read a book, you take some action on these things, you are intentional with your time, all of a sudden you go, man, I actually feel really good about myself. And the results will come. But even if they don't, I'm going, I've already gotten the results. What were the results? I'm a better person than I was yesterday. And guess what? When you become a better person every single day, not only does that stack up, but you can absolutely expect better things to happen in your life. The people who put in the extra time, the extra work, are the people who get the extra rewards. It's such simple math, yet very few of us take the first steps.
Yep. When I speak, I say, I'm not interested in a standing ovation. I'm interested in you deciding what one thing you're going to start doing.
Beautiful.
That's all I care about.
Yes.
And it's the same thing with your book and my book. You have to take action. Reading the book will give you stuff to think about, but you can act your way into a better way of thinking. You hear it sometimes. It is absolutely true. And I tell people, it's like the difference between confidence and boldness is you can feel confident and do nothing. But if boldness is confidence in action, and you'll build your confidence by taking bold action. Bold people got more confident because they were uncomfortable. They weren't confident about how it was going to go, and they went anyway. So Marcus, thank you so much for your profound spirit and wisdom and energy. And I can't wait to see you again. But I think everyone, I hope you all get a copy of his book on Amazon and take some action and start playing a bigger game. Marcus, thank you so much.
Fred, I just want to say thank you so much. And everybody, as a gift to Fred, can we go give a 5-star review to this podcast? It goes far, and Fred puts in so much love and energy for us. It is a gift for us. The least we can do, go give a 5-star review. And I would also love to say, if anything I said here touched you today, will you please reach out to me? Reach out to me at playabiggergame.com or find me on Instagram or Facebook. Just send me a message. Say, hey, this point kind of stood out to me. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to cheer you on. I want to be in your corner. I want to have an impact on people's lives. So that would be a massive gift to me if you reached out to me.
So let's do that, everybody. Thank you, Markus. We'll see you soon.